Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. Today's tag pocket video is inspired by Tracy Fox from Tracy Fox Creative or Love Junk Journals. I had made her a Take Flight book a while ago and sent it to the UK, but it didn't make it there, and I wanted to create something else to replace the journal that she didn't receive. And I used her latest kit of vintage bugs. Now, I'm not a bug person at all, but I love that Tracy created it and there's some really cool images in it. And I thought, well, I'm going to challenge myself to use it. And as I was creating ephemera pieces for the journal that I'm putting together, using that kit, I realized there were a lot of tags in the kit and that I used tags a bunch of different ways while I was putting the items together. I mean, sometimes I'll do the journal first and then I'll make the ephemera for the journal, but sometimes I will make ephemera first, and I did that in this case using the kit and Dark Compendium. And again, as I was looking through it all, I found out that there were a lot of pockets that I had made using tags. And so I thought I would show here some of the ideas that I did with that. Now, they're not new to me by any means. I'm sure they're all seen elsewhere, but I kind of put them all together in one video. Well, there's plenty more, but I put the ones that I had created together in a video to show you some different ways that you could make pockets from tags. So these are the ones that I had made while I was working with the kit. And again, this is not exhaustive. There's probably a gazillion different more ways to do it, but these are just some of them. And then I'll show you how I made them. We all have lots of tags. Well, most of us, I would imagine. Kits come with a lot of tags generally, and we get tags in other sources and places. And so when I was looking at some of my tags, I put them together in one tin, and I realized that I had a whole bunch, and this is just kind of a fun way to maybe use up some of those tags to create either a mass make or just, keep tag pockets on hand. This one, I normally print tags on cardstock. I normally print most of my ephemera on cardstock, but I had loaded my printer incorrectly, and this one's just on copy paper. So again, I'll show you how to do it. But this particular tag pocket is made with just copy paper. And so there is one, and here is another pocket. So that's the second. And yeah, I'll go through and show you how I make them. And this is the third. And the fourth. And this one has 4 tags on it. Most of them have 2 tags, but every once in a while I did something a little different, and like this particular one has 4 tags. And I don't remember now. I think I'm on 5. I think there's a baker's dozen if I remember correctly, but something like that. And this one used 3 tags. And this one, well, I'll get to it. But anyway, this is using 2 tags. I get ahead of myself sometimes, and that's the reason I squirrel way too often. I will have another video coming soon of One Sheet Wonders. I've pretty much got it ready. I just haven't decorated, and I may end up just going in that route. But anyway, here's another tag pocket. And they're all slightly different. They're similar, obviously, because they're using tags, but they're all still slightly different ways to use the tags. It's a tuck spot. And then here as a pocket with a tag. And this one, I goofed. This was supposed to not be adhered so that you could make it a side tuck, but I goofed. But it's still a tag, and it's still a single pocket because I would glue it down on 3 sides. But when we make it today, I just won't glue that down. I was tired when I made that one, I think. And here is a tag with a top, kind of a pocket. And this is 2 tags into a heart-shaped pocket with a bug piece, one of her bugs put in there. And 2 tags again with a side tuck and a window. And then a double-sided tag with journaling space front and back. So all of them have some kind of a journaling spot. All of them are pockets, and all of them use tags. So that's what they have in common. And the ones shown here are all made from Tracy Fox Vintage Bugs. And oh shoot, did I drop one? I might have. I tried to save all of these little bits, but it looks like no, here it is, Dark Compendium. Okay, so these, zoom in so you can see it. These are these and then the tin that I showed you all of those pieces are made using Dark Compendium 4 and Vintage Bugs. Now I've just got a tray of cardstock, not cardstock, tags that we'll use for this project, and I didn't put them in any specific order or anything else. I just thought I'd pull them as we go. And those are all from one of these particular kits. I don't generally use a lot of digitals, but I have a lot of Tracy's because I really like them. And so I kind of pulled the tags that indicated which ones. And I don't know which ones came from which kit, but these are the variety of kits that I used for all of these projects. So let me put that there so that you can see it if you choose. And maybe you'll recognize it, but it'll at least give you a place to look if there's something that you see that you like and you want to find it. Whoops, let me put that up there. Okay, so there you go. That way you can take a screenshot if you like. All right, let's get started on making tags. Now I'm not going to decorate them. Obviously, I'm just going to show you the construction of them as we do this. And I had my little lace bin in case I needed to use some lace, but I'm going to put these out of the way so that we can create some tag pockets. All right, for this first one, this large bug, let me zoom out just a little bit. There we go. It's a double-sided pocket, front and back, so that you would, insert it into a journal rather than gluing it down or something. You would want to be able to take it out because it's got journaling both front and back. And well, actually, it's got 3 pockets. So just a side pocket here, a top pocket here. And that's made, this one's not really made from tags. That was just the decorative piece that I put on top. It was made from scrap paper put together to make a pocket. And then there's the pocket on the back. All right, and the way I did this, it was I took a tag and then I took a longer tag. And do those go good together? No, they do not. Again, I have a whole bunch of different kits in here, so I may have to pick around a little bit to find some that actually coordinate, because I've got a bunch of different pieces, and I don't mind that they don't match perfectly, but I don't want them to clash either. All right, so this is a good one. So I've got 2 different size tags, and all I did with this is I took one of the tags, and in this case, one of the tags, and I just folded it in half. Now I'm not going to take the time to ink any of these, though. Oops, sorry about that. Folded it in half. I didn't realize I was out of frame. Folded it in half. Then I laid it on top of the second tag, right, like this. I printed double-sided paper. So on this one, I didn't print double-sided paper. I could get a second tag and glue it on the back, or I could just glue a piece of scratch paper. I've got some thinner paper like this that I could just glue down right on the back of that tag so that it's not a naked tag. And I don't want to do that one because it's not the same color. But I would have a double-sided tag here and then line up the second tag on top of the first tag and let's glue it in place. I glued it on the top and the bottom only so that it would have a little bit more room to put things in. So top and bottom only. Okay, so glue on the top and bottom, laying this in place. Now these have pre-stitches on them, so I'll try to line the stitches up a little bit. Let's see, sorry, getting out of frame there again. So I'll line the stitches up fairly closely, and then I will trim the excess. Now I sewed mine, but you don't have to. And then the tag under here, see, you can feel it, and then I'll use that as my guideline to trim off the extra piece. And that is the first one. Pocket in the front, and then you come back over here and glue. And same thing on the top, put the glue down on the top and the side. Again, like I said, I sewed mine, but you can use glue or double-sided tape, whichever you prefer. And it's that simple. I'll save that scrap and use it for something else. In fact, I might even have one that I took 2 tag tops off on and something. So there you go. There is the first tag, double-sided pocket. All right, this one's a little bit more time-consuming, but not horribly so. It uses, I used a square punch to cut these out. Again, I used 2 tags the same size. Let's go with these 2. I think these are Dusty Florals, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, okay, so this one has a journaling spot on the side, just journaling paper, and it's a tuck with a window transparency. And let's put that back in. All right, and the way I did this was I took, let's say I'll make this one the top one. It doesn't really matter, but I think this kit has some solid tags too. Maybe that would look, no, that's a different kit. Like I said, I've got a whole bunch of different kits in here. So I took my square punch, and you don't have to use a square. You can use a circle. You can use anything you want. Took the square punch, and I did it close to the edge on this side, but you can do it anywhere, and you can do it in the center, you can do it off to the side. It doesn't really matter. The idea is you're building a window. And where do I want that? Because of the way the zigzag stitches are, I think I want it over here. So I'm going to push that down and punch. And then I'm going to slide it along because I touched it to the bottom of my punch, and I know my slide will be straight-ish. And then just like that. Now you can see here that I've got off just a tiny bit because of moving the paper and trying to hold it up. But that's generally, whoops, here are my scissors. That's an easy fix. I'll come trim that little bit where it's uneven off. If you're going to do a circle, I would use a large circle punch for this, or a oval punch, large oval punch, or square, because you can't, well, maybe you can, but I don't know of a way to slide the circle punch. All right. Okay, and then there is my window, and I would line it up like this. Now, putting the transparency in, I think I've got a piece of transparency here. Yeah, I do. I generally sew it, but you certainly don't have to. You can use double-sided adhesive. I will ink the edges, the inside edges first, and then I will glue. What I do, personal preference, I use tape to hold it in place, and then I put it on my sewing machine and I sew all the way around. That's just my own preference. You can use the thin, let me grab a roll. I'm sure I've got some in here somewhere. You can use thin double-sided tape, right? And line your window, the back side of your window, with the thin double-sided tape, and then put your transparency on. That also works real well. Or you can glue it. Many people glue it, but I don't want to take the time to ink the edges and do all of that and show you. Then I'll trim down the plastic and lay it on top like this. Now, I like to sew. This is a new kind for me of tacky tape, my purple tape. It's called Mint Tape from scrapbook.com, and so far I'm really pleased with the way it holds and the way it lifts. I haven't had any torn paper. It comes in a pack with the 2-inch roll and the 4-inch roll, but that's what it is. And oh, there was a glare there, I apologize. So that's what it is, scrapbook.com Mint Tape. And again, mine came in a pack with 2 of the 2-inch rolls and this 4-inch roll. So there's that. All right. Oh, for the sake of ease, I will put this back here. We're going to assume I sewed it around. I inked the edge, sewed it around, and then I'll glue 3 sides, whichever. You can have it open on the left, you can have it open on the right, but that's all there is to this tag. And then I sewed a piece on top. That gives you your side tuck. And again, your choice as to which one. All right, this one, this little bug pocket, and you can put anything in there. I just used one of Tracy's bugs because she likes bugs, and they're not necessarily my thing, but I think she did a great job with this kit, and they're kind of cute. So this is just a journaling spot. So it's a pocket, but it's also a journaling spot. And when I put this in the journal, my intention is I will glue it down on 3 sides in the back. So I've got a pocket back there, and I'll put one of the larger tags, or maybe I'll even make it a belly band, right? Let's see if I can move back far enough. Make it a belly band so that it can go all the way through with another tag. And so I'll glue 2 sides. And then this is an open up journaling spot, right? with a little pocket on the front. And to do this, oops, that's a vellum one. I guess you could use vellum, but I probably wouldn't with this. You take 2 tags, same size tags. Well, these turned out to be the exact same tags. Well, that works too. All right, 2 tags. And I am going to put, well, I'm going to ink these because I don't want to waste it. And it'll only take a second to ink these. I can ink the tops later. Right, lay it like this and like this. And I am going to keep glue on the bottom piece only, right? So I'm going to put glue from here and here. And then I'll lay this piece on top. And that way I didn't close my pocket. If I wanted to close the pocket, I would put glue right here, but I don't really want to close it in case whatever I tuck in there is a little bit, excuse me, is a little bit too big for that section. So let's say I wanted to put like a journaling card or something in there. Well, it loses its heart shape effect, but let's just say I wanted to put something like that. I want to keep the top open. If you wanted to close it completely, just put a little glue in there. And then when I glued this down on my page, I just glued this bottom section. I left the top section open to hold this as like a clasp, basically. And so that made, those 2 tags made a little pocket. Okay, this one. This is again 2 tags. I used a vellum because I had printed the same kit on vellum as well. Uses vellum on top, but I'll show you, I won't show the whole process, but I'll show you the steps so that you can certainly recreate it if you choose to. You take, here, this one will work for this. Let's get, and this is going to be a little itty bitty piece. Will that work? Yeah, close enough. All right, so I've got a larger tag and, not larger tag, solid tag, a cardstock tag, and then a vellum or a transparency or something like that tag, right? So this would be the top piece. And this is just a little too small for me to work with and show you. Well, okay, sometimes you go with plan B. That's what we'll do. We'll go with plan B. Okay. And I didn't pull out a piece. Oh, here's a piece of transparency. This one wasn't a tag, but yeah, that'll work. No, it's not quite big enough. Well, darn. Sorry about that. Oh, I do have some. I thought I had bigger ones. Okay. Okie doke. Okay. Now we're working. Sorry about that. All right. Here we go. So 2 different tags. One, these are printed on vellum. You can use tracing paper, transparency, whatever you like. And then a regular tag. And then you line them up. And what I do is I figure out about where I want the slit in my pocket. And I'm going to move this back and so that you can see and zoom in a little bit. All right. And honestly, I would normally measure it because I'm not a good eyeballer, but you can certainly eyeball it. And so maybe I'll go in right here and right here. So you can see where I marked on the top. Hopefully you can see where I marked on the top. And then I use a square punch. You can use a circle punch. You can use any kind of punch you like, but I use this little square because I have it and it has a long arm. I got this set, what is it? Family Treasures of square punches, probably 25 years ago or thereabouts. So I'm going to use the dot that I made to punch and the dot that I made to punch. So that gives me my frame, right? And then I normally use a straight edge, but again, for the sake of speed and ease, I'll just show you here. I'll pull it straight down my cutting mat and my utility knife, and I'll cut it down that way, and I'll cut out that piece. So I've got a, like a mail slot, basically. All right. And that will be my background. Then I've got this punch, this tab slot punch, and I think that's how they're listed on Amazon. Name badge, label badge, tab, punch. It's a punch, but maybe it's a badge holder punch, something along those lines. Amazon badge holder punch. And what I'll do is I'll use a scrap. Oh, that looks like a good size. I'll use a scrap of cardstock and I will cut it, trim it to the size that I want it to be. Then I'll use my badge punch the same way, and I'll push it all the way down, and I'll push it, I line it up next to the edge in this case because of how much space I had, and then I'll do the same thing here. Line up the edge of the cardstock to the edge of the punch, and it's just sliding it over. So it took one this size punch, and you just slide it along to make a larger one. And I didn't do it quite far enough, so I'll line it back up and take off a little bit more. All right, then I will make sure that the right side and the left side are about the same. They don't have to be perfect by any means, but about the same. And then I'll use a corner rounder. I use a little itty bitty one to round those corners. You can use a pair of Fiskars scissors that have the rounded edge or ends. That'll work. You can leave it squared. It doesn't matter. I just do it this way because it mimics the badge punch that's inside. Sorry, I might not have even been in frame. I apologize. There we go. I guess I haven't made a video in so long I've forgotten how. Okay. Line that up, and there we go. Okay. Then I glue this on top of this. This is going to bug me because this is a little bit wider. There we go. Trim that and repunch. Sorry, you can tell I wasn't really intending to share a video on this, and then I thought, well, you know, that might be something that people want to see, is how I did that. So there we go. Okay. And I'm just making mistake after mistake. Well, there you go. This is how I fix the mistakes. All right, done. Now I'll glue this in place. And honestly, I generally sew it. On the sample, you can see, I'll show you that I sewed it. But you don't have to. It's absolutely personal choice. And you can see that the slot is narrower than the opening I made, which is one of the reasons I use that size square punch, just to make sure that nothing catches when I take something in and out. All right, so that's the back side, that's the front side, and then I would glue, well, I almost always use a little bit of glue on the top and bottom, and then I would sew around the edges. So this holds it in place while I'm sewing it. Okay, and then I sew around the edges, and that is how I made this tag. And then you can put something straight in, or like this, I made it an overlap journaling card piece, right? And then to hang it down, and you still have a place to write. Okay, so there's that one. This one is as simple as it gets. And let's do here we go. We'll go with this one. It's got stitching on it. Took a tag and used my paper trimmer to cut it off about where, you know, based on, oh, maybe I should zoom back out. Ooh, wow, sorry. Okay. Trim the tag about where it looks like it should be trimmed. Sometimes the tags will have images on the top or decoration. And this doesn't work with every tag, but it works with most. And then I just turned it around and glued it back down. And like I said, on that one I goofed and I glued the whole thing down. I didn't mean to. But what I would do, and what I normally do, is just glue it on 3 sides. I'm leaving the tagged edge open or unglued. And I'll put glue, or again, sew if you choose to, 3 sides. And place it down. And there is a single tag as a pocket tuck. So I would glue 3 sides on my page, right, left, bottom. I've got a space in the back to tuck a tag. Well, not that tag, that's too big. Okay, how about this one? A place in the back to tuck a tag. Could always make it a belly band. But then I also have this spot right here as a tuck. So I could put another journaling card there. Okay, so that is way number, whatever number we're on. I lost track. Whatever number we're on, that's another way to take a tag and make it into a pocket. All right, here, 2 tags again, the same size. And let's go with these 2. Okay, good. These are both from the Dark Compendium, and I love, love, love this kit. All right. Now, this one, I want to make sure whatever pocket tag I have on front. Now you can see the writing is upside down, and that doesn't bother me because of the size. But this one, like if I were to cut this one off, this would be cart whatever upside down, and I wouldn't like that. Personal preference. But this one right here, Deadly Handling, oh, that's sideways anyway, so I wouldn't mind that upside down. So what I'll do is I'll take my 2 tags. Again, 2 tags, same size. You can use large or small. It's completely up to you. And I want, because I'm going to use a word, there's not a specific measurement on here. You just kind of play with what your tag offers you. I want that whole piece to show. I don't want, you know, Deadly Handling to be chopped off. And it doesn't stand out real well, but that's okay. We can fix that. That's what ink is for. And again, on this one, I stitched this piece. After I'd cut it like this, I stitched it independently before I put it on top so that I could use this as a tuck. So if you're a stitcher, stitch this after you cut it off. Stitch just the 3 sides, the part that looks like a tag top. Sew the 3 sides of that. Then glued down like this. Now, honestly, I don't like where this hits. I'm not happy with that. I want it to go down where it's a little bit lighter. So all I'm going to do is take that same tag and trim a little bit more off. Same tag, I just took a little bit more off this top because of where I want it to land. And I like that a lot better. I like that it lines up here and you can clearly see that it's a tuck. So I'll put glue, glue, and glue. And even if I were sewing this, I would probably still put a little bit of glue just to hold it in place while I sew it. I don't use a lot of glue, but I would put a little bit on there to hold it in place. Okay, and then sew it down. So now I would come in and sew just along the top here if I were sewing. And that way, this becomes a tuck, right? I can put something else underneath there. So that's a tuck. Then I just put it right. I love the crow because, or raven or whatever it is, because I am House Ravenclaw. I'm, yes, a Harry Potter fan, and I really like that. So there we go. Then I just put it down here and glue it in place. That's simple. I used this type of a tab top on this one, but you can use, you know, any. That's the point, is the pocket, not the topping. And then this is a pocket, so you can put another tag in there if you choose to. And then this again is a tuck, and I can just put my little notepad right underneath there. Okay, so let me put the pieces back together so that I know what goes with what, because yes, I would forget. All right, so that's the next pocket. Sorry, I've lost track of the number. All right, this one is a simple one, and well, they're all simple, to be honest. I mean, they're nothing new or different under the sun, but they're the reverse of this. So I did this basically 2 ways, and they made 2 different pockets out of them. So here, took 2 tags. Let's grab. No, I don't like those together. Let's get. I just tucked them in, so there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to what I did. I really, really like that guy. Okay, so I'm going to use this one for him, for this little one, for this first one that's, again, mirror image of each other. I don't know if I said mirror image, but I was thinking it, whether or not I actually said it. 2 tags. I didn't make these the same size because of where I wanted to put them, but honestly, you use 3 tags for this and you use 3 tags the same size. You can. I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but that was my intention on this. So 3 tags, same size. Okay, these are close enough to the same size for me. Now I'm going to cut the top tag, the tag that's going to show. I'm going to cut it at an angle from just below the top left corner to the bottom, angled down to the bottom right. Now, could you do it the other way? Sure. You can cut from the top left and angle down. Okay, that part doesn't really matter. And then the angle is just, again, based on what image is showing and what you want to show. So on here, I would look at my background pieces and say, okay, how sharp of an angle do I want and what do I want to show? Well, like I said, I really like the raven. The eye, maybe not so much. So I'm going to cut it at this angle, and I'm going to be careful to make sure that the raven's beak will show, because I want his whole little cute body to show. And so I'm going to watch my angle that I trim this based on what I want to be seen. Okay, and then, this is a little bit smaller, but it's that same principle. Okay, I really don't like that. All right, let's go with a different tag. I didn't like the two. Oh, here we go. There we go. That's the ticket. I didn't like this pattern, which is a different one, with the dark compendium. So probably should have thought of that beforehand, but there you go. Original check. Do I want to cut that word off? No, I do not. And this happens to me sometimes when I'm making stuff, because that's kind of just, you know, the way it works. There's got to be one in here somewhere that'll work. Okay, I do like the way that one looks together. All right, let's try with this one. This isn't the same kit, but I really like the way they work together, and I like the dark color. And I'm probably not even remotely in focus. So sorry about that. All right, let's try this again. Cutting my paper, and I don't know how well you can see it. Tag going in at an angle, cutting this at an angle, starting with this top corner because of what I want to show. I think I wanted a little sharper angle. There, okay. That's better. Colors work better. All right, so this will be the tag. So 3 tags total, and you might want to make them at least coordinate because I should have done that first. So 3 tags total. I cut the one that I want to be the top tuck and the bottom tuck. I cut it at a diagonal, and I was just mindful of what was going to show on the bottom tag, what was going to show underneath as I was cutting this. All right, and then this one's a slightly, you can see I trimmed it just a slightly bit different, but that's absolutely okay. And then I'm going to, if I were sewing this, like I did here, I would sew this piece independently before I did anything else. I would just take this through my machine and I would sew the diagonal independently. Because I'm not sewing this one, I'm not doing it, but just wanted to give you a heads up if you like to sew. Then after that edge was sewn, I would come glue all except the diagonal and come put it on my tag. And you can see these tags are just slightly different size, but that's an easy fix. And I will trim it to fit. Yeah. And there. Then I would sew around the whole thing, like this one. Sew around the whole thing. And that is how I made this top tuck. And then the raven still shows, and then I can tuck whatever ephemera or whatever I want underneath there. Then the opposite is the bottom piece of that, and that's where I created this tag. Let's see, is that in frame? There you go. That's where I created this one. Again, I would sew this, if I were going to sew, I would sew this independently, just while it's loose like this before I put anything together. Then I would glue. I would use just a little bit of glue, a light bit of glue. But since I'm not sewing this one, I'll use a little bit more. 3 sides, again, leaving the angled side unglued. And lay it down on this other tag. Am I in frame? Okay, good. Lay it down there. And again, I need to trim this because this tag was just a slight bit, probably when I cut it out of the page, I cut it a little bit smaller. Maybe there was something else next to it, what have you. And trim that. All right, and that is the second piece. Now to make the pocket on the top, so here are these 2 tags done this way. Here it is as a top tuck, and here it is as a bottom tuck. Okay, and because I had a lot more real estate down here, On this one, I took 2 more tags and just, let's see if I have something that'll coordinate with that. Sure, why not? I took these 2 tags and let's see, how did I do it on this one? Put the eyelets in first, put this string on. I love that string. It was on a gift that somebody gave me and I would love to know how to get more of that. Really, really cool stuff. It's not eyelash trim, but it's like string with stringies on the string, and it's awesome. Anyway, took 2 tags, and it doesn't matter which order you want to do it. 2, just glued the edge and that edge, and laid it down right on top. I used smaller ones, but laid it down right on top and glued the bottom and the side, and that's what created this tuck. It's just 2 tags laid on top of each other to make a side tuck. All right, I'm going to put these back because I didn't really use them. And that's those 2. This one is 2 tags, and I've had these for a long time, these really cool magnet type beads, and I thought how fun they would be to go on the bottom because they do kind of hold it closed. So 2 tags here, and then you lift up, and this is just a little notepad with a decorative piece on top. So 2 tags and turned into a little notepad holder, I suppose. Probably another name for it, but I don't know what that other name would be. Notepad holder, a tag, notepad, pocket. All right, and I'll show you how I did that. Again, I need 2 tags that are similar or at least coordinate. Okay, these coordinate. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work just fine. So I've got 2 tags. I cut, let me try that again. I folded one over, and let me get back in frame. Sorry about that. I keep coming out of frame, so I'm scooting back. Folded that over, and then I want this almost the same amount that I'm going to cut off the top of the other. So I'll make myself a little mark. And then I'm going to, you can score it, of course, if you want to, but it's not necessary for this particular project. And I am going to bring it down so you can see where I made that mark. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more because I want this to fold over. So you can see that is where I made my mark to cut, right? But I didn't cut it there. I cut it to the left of that mark so that my inside piece, I'm going to glue this tag piece in here because I don't want it to be white. If you used a double-sided tag, you could do it differently, of course, but I didn't want it to remain white. So I'm going to glue this piece in here. And these are thicker cards, so I can use glue rather than glue stick. So put this down. All right, so glued this in. And it's, again, I trimmed these out of off a paper kit, so they're not 100% perfect. I'm not super careful when I trim those. Out of a digital kit, that's the word I'm looking for. All right, so there's that. And let's see, what did I do? Did I color these? Oh, I had mine. I put some black cardstock on, or black thin paper. I have some really thin black paper. So I covered it with thin black paper so it wouldn't be white there. And just glued it down and trimmed it. All right, then on this bottom one, I did the same thing. And I will do it this one so I can show you because I've got, yeah, this is thin black paper. All right, I'm going to glue this thin black paper down, or this tag top that I cut off onto the thin black paper. And it can be any color paper, it doesn't have to be black. Okay, glue that down. And when I trim it, I am not going to trim it exact, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to trim the tag part to fit, to be flush, but I'm not going to trim the bottom part to be flush. And obviously I was using this to make some tabs or labels or what have you. Rings, circle rings. Okay, so now I've got this, right, with a little bit longer. I'm going to use that as my guideline to fold. And now you can see here where this tab mark is, and I will use my scoreboard just so you can see what I'm talking about. There, where the tab mark is, I'm going to use that and fold it there because I want a little bit of this in the back. Right? Just a little bit, just for some stability. So then I'm going to fold it down. So that mark that I made with my pencil to make the cuts even, that's what I did there. And when I finish this one, when I complete it, I'll come back in with the black paper and do the same thing. And then I glue this on the back. And glue this back here. And that is how I made this piece. Now, I'm not going to go into the time to show how to do these envelope or policy closures because there's lots and lots and lots of videos that show how to do it in a bunch of different ways. And this is more focused on making the pockets themselves with the tags. But if you've got any question about that, they're in lots and lots and lots of videos. Basically, circle punch, hole in the middle of a circle punch, and then an eyelet in the middle of that. And that allows you to wrap your string around to hold it closed. It's just that straightforward. All right. And then what I did on this one is I just put a notepad in here, and then I put just a little bit of a cluster on top of it for decoration so that when it closed up, that's what you saw. This is just the top of a notepad. All right. And let's see, this one. Okay, so this one I used 4 different sizes of labels. I had a whole bunch of labels out in front of me. Not labels, I keep saying labels, tags. I had 4 different sizes of tags out in front of me. And so let's see, I've got one, and grab, I think I've got, so 1 of the larger size, and then I used 2, let's see if these 2 will work, 2 of a little bit smaller size, right? And then I used 1 little one. Let's see if I have any little ones out of this paper. I honestly don't know. I don't remember what came in what kit. Oh, I could do that. That's kind of pretty. Or that one. I don't even know if these are the same kits. They're all, okay, that's pretty. They're all in those kits that I listed at the beginning. They're all from various Tracy kits. But any tags will work. I don't mean to imply that you can only use certain tags with this because that's so not the case. All right, to create this, I use the tag in the back, right? And you can see this one I cut it down just to fit, and it wouldn't show. Like if this was, oh, here you go. There's a tip that I can show you. All right, so maybe this is a little bit long for my project, but I really want, the stitching is already pre-done on here, and I want that stitching to show. So what I do is I cut it, and then I would just lay this right back on top of it. And so you can see I've got the same edges, the same stitching, lay it right back on top of it. And I'll glue this down. Glue that down so that it lines up. And now you can see this line here, but that's the beauty of these. This is where these pockets are going to go, right? So I've got one of these tags is coming off the bottom left, and slightly above that, I've got another one coming off the bottom right. Yeah, you can make it, if you needed a wider one, you could extend it out, but I just kind of used the edge of the corner to be my guide to the edge of the page. And I glue one piece on the left, lift it up, glue one piece on the right. When I'm gluing, I'm only gluing where the bottom edge is going to go. I haven't inked these, but you know what? I have lots of tags. That's okay. So I'm going to glue the bottom edge and the side where straight across from the corners. So the part that makes the tag corners, I'm going to glue it like that. And then you can see here where I've got this, my seam where I pieced it together. I'm going to put this right on top of that. All right, and you can see I left this piece, well, I didn't put much glue on there apparently. Let's glue that down. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on this one, but I'm going to lift it up a little bit higher. And I'm going to glue again to that corner. I'm going to glue from the tab corner to tab corner, and then along the bottom edge. because that gives me lots of openings to tuck things in. And then I'm going to visually eyeball where I want it to go. You could measure it, and most of the time, honestly, I probably would. There we go. So now I've got this piece. Now you can see here, this one, the gap is a little bit wider. It truly, truly doesn't matter. You can, use your discretion on that. Then I take the last piece, and this one doesn't have any stitching on it. So this one's a little bit tall for what I want. I would trim it down. And I'm going to put this piece right here on top. So where the one on the right side ends, I didn't ink these so they don't stand out as much. You can't see the edges as much, but here we go. I don't know, maybe it would have been easier for you guys to see if I'd used solid tags, but the point was this will work with any tag kit, any tags digital kit, and I wanted you to see that. Okay, you can see that, that stands out. And then the last one, again, this time I'm going to glue the left edge, and you can reverse this whole step, of course, and the right edge. And I am going to line it up and put it down. Maybe not there, maybe right here. Yeah. Okay. And it's looking like this. Now I've got a tuck spot. Where's that paper? Now I've got a tuck spot right here. And then I've got a big tuck spot in the back. And I was able to piece that paper together. So if, again, this one's pre-sewn on, it's just printed. So if you didn't want to sew it, but you wanted to make the tag fit, that's a technique to do that. And then I just put a butterfly over half of it. I glued, well, let's see, I think I have a butterfly in here. It would work with any bug or any larger image. Here we go. This is a really big butterfly, but you'll get the idea. So I just took the butterfly and I glued half of it down so that this part would show, so that you could take your insert out. So this piece isn't glued up, it's loose. And it goes just like that. All right, and then again, tag back here. And that is tag number, whatever number. All right, excuse me. Here is 2 tags again, and it's a variation of one that we had just done, but it's a little bit different, so I thought I'd show you. Let me get 2 tags the same size, similar pattern. Yeah, that works. All right, this, I had to think about what I did here because I've done so many different ones. Okay, I remember what I did. I folded this piece over. Now, which one do I want to be on top? I guess it doesn't really matter. That flower would be upside down, so I wouldn't like that look as much. All right, folded the tag over. Right. Then I cut this tag off the top. Excuse me. Cut it off. Dropped this down just a little bit. Make sure that the top of your pocket is covered by the top of your flap. Honestly, you can see here what I did. I sewed the whole thing together. Pardon me. I folded this over just to make it sturdy. So I folded the edge over and I sewed it down, but for the sake of ease, we're going to glue it down. I sewed this down independently with nothing else on it. Ink. Then I tack glued it into place, and then I sewed around the edges. So I tack glued it into place so it wouldn't wiggle, and then I sewed around the whole piece, right? You can see how I sewed around it. Then this bottom section, right? I've got the stitching, the faux stitching on there already. I put this down and I only glued it to the very bottom. I glued it and sewed it just to the very bottom. You know what? I didn't sew. I sewed after. This one has stitching on it, so you wouldn't need to do it, obviously. But this one, I would sew the top and side pieces because we don't want them to be adhered to your envelope or your pocket front. And then I would stitch around the whole thing. And you can see here there's no stitching on the top and bottom, so I would stitch around the whole thing. And that gives me a tuck here as well as a pocket inside. All right, and here again, this is a policy envelope closure, same idea. And I just put a little bit of string around it with some beads on the bottom to hold it closed, and embellishment on the front. But that's how, so it's slightly different than the other because of where your pocket goes. The other one, well, you saw, they're different. They're similar, but they're different. All right, this little guy. I thought this was kind of a fun one. I needed a small embellishment to go on a corner piece to make it like a corner tuck. And so I just put 2 tags, one on top of the other, trimmed it down, sewed around the edge, and made it a pocket. Super duper duper simple. So for the sake of this, I would take these 2. Well, maybe. I don't really want to lose the bottom of the dragonfly. And we don't have to. I'll just cut it up a little bit. Trimmed off the bottom. Let's put this stuff out of the way. I don't work well in a mess. Some people do, but I just don't. It gets me confusing. All right, ink, and glued it into place. Sewed it into place. It's really that simple. And then you've got a pocket back here, so you're glued it on 3 sides, and there's your pocket on a tag on a tag. And this last one was one that I did with thin paper, really thin paper, but it works either way, even if you're not using thin paper. So let's get 2 more tags. And this is a great one. Like, okay, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this bug. I understand that some people love him, but I'm not one of the people that loves him. So I wouldn't necessarily want him to shine, right? So what I would do, and this works great with those tags that you see that come like this, right? And you folded it over so you've got print on the top and the bottom. Okay, and I don't have any cut out like this. Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, stand down, disregard. I'll show you it can work both ways, but you can put the pocket right here, obviously, and I could cover up the bug, and then I glued another piece of paper over the top to give me an edge. But again, this was designed because I printed it on copy paper rather than cardstock, and it was just a little too thin. And so here is how we do it. So it's for these fold over kind. And you know what? That won't work. Here, let's go like this. So you fold it over, and wherever you want your pocket to be, however high or low. And I want to put something on the front, so I'm going to make my pocket sort of high so that I can utilize that space. And let's just call it good right here. I'm going to use a straight edge and cut just to the center fold. Okay, so I've cut just like this. All right. Put that away, get it out of the way, and get this out of the way. All right, cut to the center fold. Now I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper, and I didn't pull one out. Maybe I should have. Oh, you know what? Why don't I use this piece that I had from earlier? I had this left over from earlier, except it doesn't match at all. Okay, we won't be using that. Nope, that doesn't match either. I've got so many different kits here that not everything matches. This is just a little scrap paper bin that I keep to my side when I'm working, simply because there's always a situation where I need scrap paper. Does that work? Yeah, that's kind of pretty. Or is that one better? That one's better. And those are pockets from another kit, and I'll just trim that down. So what I'll do is I'll trim a piece of this, and it can be any scrap paper. I will ink my edge. I'm gonna cut just to make sure it's wide enough. Yep, it's wide enough. Cut so that one side is straight. And I lay it over the top. Oh, you couldn't see me doing it. All I did was I took that piece, that scrap piece, and folded it in half, and laid it over the top like this, just like that. Now I will glue that on. Tuck it in here, and instead of going all the way to the edge, I'm going to go just a little bit up from the edge, and I'll fold this down. All right, trim off my excess. Now I've got this top flap. I'm going to glue this down. Again, remember I was using copy paper, so this was really thin and I was wanting a little bit more stability. So I'll glue this down, and I will glue the outside edge and the bottom. All right, just like that. Then I would go ink the whole thing, and now I can trim off my corners, trim off my top, and ink around the whole thing. And that is this pocket. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be. Obviously, I did it because of the copy paper, but you can do it with any paper. And then now I have room to put, you know, another tag down here, or another pocket, or a belly band, or, you know, whatever I wanted to use. But I still have real estate to create another one. All right, and that is all of the tags that I created. I had some questions. So if you were just here for the tags and how I made the different tag pockets, there you go. Please, please don't think that I'm saying I created all of these myself. They're all over the place. I just kind of compiled them into one source. And if you've got other ideas for tag pockets, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Life is slowly steadying out a little bit, and I'm actually having time to a little bit of time to craft, where I didn't for a really long time. So there you go, pockets, all the different tag pockets and or tucks that we created. Couple questions, comments. Thank you very much for your patience. I will get back to the one sheet wonders. I found that it was taking too much time to decorate them as I was making them. And part of the reason for that is, when the weather was really good and I wanted to get some yard work done. We don't have nice weather often where I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I wanted to be able to take advantage of the nice weather while we had it and get some yard work done. So I did that. At the same time, after 3 weeks of teaching online in our virtual learning environment, because of numbers and such, I was moved back to a physical classroom. So I had been assured that that wouldn't take place, but it did take place. And I had given away all of my classroom materials. I mean, all my math manipulatives, my tubs, my bins, my anchor charts, everything, my books, everything. I'd given it away because I didn't want it to just sit unused. Well, when I went back to a physical classroom, I had to start redoing all of those things. Plus, it's just different. Teaching in a virtual environment is quite different than what you do in person. And so I had to create different lessons and change the way I did things. And it's taken a lot of hours. And it's not a bad thing at all. I've got a great class. I'm really, really lucky and blessed that I have such a great class. But it's still a lot of time, which kept me away from crafting. Kept me away from crafting way more than I wanted. And again, that's part of the reason that there's a delay between the One Sheet Wonders and the cessation of the videos that I had been doing. And my husband had a procedure, and that took some time. I needed to help him for a little bit. And we got a dog. We lost Maggie last summer, a year ago, end of summer. And then we lost Dakota in the spring. And it took a while, a variety of reasons. But anyway, we finally rescued a dog, and her name is Hannah. And she is an 18-month-old German Shepherd. And we got her from the Washington German Shepherd Rescue. And she is a sweetheart. We've had her for a week now, and I absolutely love her. So there's that. Now I made myself a little list. Okay. Thank you to everyone who sent me cards, notes, messages. I'm absolutely fine. My husband got the long COVID, but I didn't. And I'm doing great. I just was really, really busy. A straw paper source. I listened to a Gail video the other day, and she said something about straw paper, and it made me realize I don't have a source for straw paper, and I really need some for the Daffodil Journal that's on my horizon. Okay, Daffodil series of journals. So if you know of a straw paper source, I would absolutely love that. Okay, this black string thing, this was on a gift that somebody had sent me that just totally warmed my heart, and it had been that was the week that I found out I was transferring from online to in person, and that's just a ton of work. Anyway, this was wrapped around a gift, and I freaking love it. So if you have any idea where to get this, what it's called, I would be most appreciative. On that same note, I ran out of the black string that I use often that's kind of about this thick, and I ordered some on Amazon, and well, you can see it's a very, very different thickness, and I don't really know what it's called to get the thinner string. It's not baker's twine because that one ravels. This is more of a baker's twine kind of a string. So if you know how I can get black string of this thickness, if you know a name or something, please put that down below because I would really appreciate it. So the ribbon trim, the string, craft paper. Ooh, this one. Another anonymous person sent me this paper, and I might have squealed loudly. There were 3 sheets in it, and it is heavier than copy paper, thinner than cardstock, and it's craft on one side and colored paper on the other. She sent me, I'm assuming somebody sent me these 3 colors, and one of them was the green, and the angels were singing, the Hallelujah chorus was going off. But she didn't put a name, or the person didn't put a name who it was from, and I don't know the source. So if you are the person who sent me these, thank you tremendously. And please, oh please, oh please, tell me where you got it, because this is the last sheet of my beloved craft and green paper. Now, one of the very, very sweet viewers sent me a variety of paper with craft on one side and green on the other. Deb, I believe it was. Super love it, but it's not the same thickness. Like I said, this is kind of right between a copy paper and a cardstock, and it's perfect for the journals. So if you know where you can get this, or you are the source, please, please let me know so that I can purchase some more. All right, I think that's it for now. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculously long. My apologies for that, but I hope you got some ideas, and please know that I will be coming back for One Sheet Wonders if you're wanting to join in on that. Take care. Thank you for watching, and happy creating.